workshop meeting Monday, February 10th at 4:30 to order the Village Board of Trustees. And I'll have Jose Filomeno lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Go Eagles.
Come on. So let's start off by approval of the January 27th, 2025 minutes. Take a motion to approve those.
Make that motion.
Motion by trustee Filomeno. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by trustee Mastro Domenico. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Right, and out of the way. Junior fire member application. Olivia Tyrer of Chestnut Street.
Olivia is actually that is the daughter of one of our members, Dennis Mitchell.
Dennis Mitchell.
She just turned 16, I think, last weekend. She's been around the firehouse, as long as I can remember. She wants to give it a try. I don't see any reason not to allow her.
Okay. I'll take a motion to approve the junior membership.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, is there a second? Second by trustee Jose. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carries. Mayor votes aye. Now this next applicant. Leon Holden,
Yeah,
was he a member prior and now he's coming back?
commonly known as Rodney Holden. I think 2004, the most recent records we have for him, he has 17 years of service, LoSAP accredited service
Mhm.
in the department. He thought he was going to retire 4 or 5 years ago and used the term retire. But he had requested his number to retire with him. He recently came back, said he wants to give it a try again. Explained to him that, none of his privilege from before, he'll start at the bottom again, he'll be a probationary member. And needs to get to know the way things are now, because of the way things change so quickly, even in 5 or 7 years, however many it was that he's been gone. I met with the membership, or most of the line officers that are here, and seems to be have the right attitude to come back and contribute. We couldn't find any reason not to. The membership had voted him in majority vote last Tuesday.
Okay. All right, pending any further discussion, I'll take a motion to approve Rodney, AKA Leon Holden.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Miller. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. And votes aye. Carries. You had a couple other things, anything you wanted to talk about before?
Well,
Wait,
there's a
Max,
lot of big things, if now's the time.
yeah, let's do that since you're,
One of
Warmed up.
the biggest things that I think is gonna affect this budget for this year, and it will, before we can plan for it, are the decisions that have to be made tonight. I've been informed as chief that the company would like to give up the responding apparatus that we're currently taking care of. That would mean the dive rescue, the boat, basically the whole dive team, plus the 6-wheeler and car 232, the white. I guess transfer ownership to you, plus whatever goes along with keeping that stuff going. At this time, everything's as mechanically sound as we can make it, as they can make it. And would like the discussion to make that happen.
What's the reasoning behind it, Jim?
I guess should turn it over to the president for this part of it.
Sure, sure, Donnie, what you got?
We
Are we
took
recording?
all those things on many years ago. They're all fire apparatus items and, really should have belonged to the village, not to us, but we're fundraising to keep the maintenance up on all those items and we'd like to see it be turned back over to the village.
Well, see, if we do that, contractually, we're in an agreement with the town where the town pays up to a cap of 80%. If we take sole ownership, I'm concerned if that's gonna affect us based on our contracts, or could you just budget a little more for the maintenance and repairs of them?
That's however. I'm sorry, that's
Yeah, you're
however you guys want to decide. If the company decides to not maintain that anymore, then I guess I would have to go to the town and or to you and the town and say, do we still want to provide these services to the community?
I might think we do, we have a big lake in the district. You know, covers quite a bit of the shoreline of it.
Southern Basin,
Yeah.
I mean, it would just be the maintenance on it. On those items.
Right, well, what I'm thinking is if you just add it to your budget and
Have Jim add it to his.
add it to
budget?
his budget, right,
Okay,
for the apparatus.
Also, that'll mean replacement in the future also.
Yeah, no, and that's something we really want to budget ahead of time and plan for. Maybe even throw a bit of contingency into just the water rescue apparatus and have it in its own provisional line.
A lot of the equipment that's in there has been funded by, this is inside the dive, has been funded by the county, and there is some, they still claim ownership to that stuff as long as it's being utilized by Lake George members. So I don't know whether you'll need an extensive inventory of who belongs to what, or whether
I think we'd probably like to I'm speaking,
Yeah.
anybody can chime in.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to know exactly what we have, what is considered county property, what is just the ownership and the tally of everything. And then we can discuss it, we'll discuss it with the town and amongst ourselves. I just, as far as ownership, they're kind of, nobody else is gonna use them but the squad.
by the department.
The department, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll circle back up and provide a list. We got another couple weeks till our next meeting and we can bring it back up then. Once we have an idea on what we're either biting off or what we're gonna just arrange to have the maintenance taken care of, because, our village DPW guys are busy enough. We don't want to tax them with having to do the maintenance on it. I mean, they'll gladly meet anyone there that has to do any work on it if there's no department members available.
It's pretty much just like the apparatus, it's specialized stuff as far as the boat goes.
Yeah.
The dive equipment, the dive van, I guess is pretty common, but the boat, the Achilles, those kind of things need to go to the marina for.
Yeah.
At least that's what we, are the companies.
Yeah, there's a maintenance plan associated with it, I'm sure that,
The boat was all winterized, it'll just be transporting it back to put it in the water when it's time.
now, what about that? It's and,
Number one is in.
it's not in the,
firehouse, right?
oh, it is at the firehouse. Okay, that's what I was getting at. I stumbled my way there, but I made it. So we have like a Zodiac though too, don't we?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
Achilles.
The Achilles, yeah,
and that's on the trailer of its
that's
own.
at the ready,
Mhm.
yeah. Hopefully we won't need it because we're gonna have ice for quite a while. Fingers crossed. Okay, so yeah, I guess, what else,
So the
Departmental.
process, if I may,
sit,
Yeah.
they sit.
And your exercise are up and down.
so the process for establishing the budget. We're supposed to, I don't want to say wish list, but come up with a list of things that we feel we need to, have in the next coming year. It requires a 3-bid thing in order to enter it into the budget, and it requires, when you go to purchase, a three bid process in order to purchase that stuff. It seems counterproductive. I mean, I understand that we need to have a round figure, if you will, but from April until, or February until April, things change. It almost seems like a redundancy or an exercise unnecessary.
Well, you would get the roundabout figure. You don't need to, for our procurement policy to purchase, you would need the 3 bids over a certain amount, but to put it in your budget, you kind of get an idea what it is and put it in there.
Round numbers
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't need
That's a little
three.
easier.
You don't need 3. The main reason that we say get more than one quote is because you don't know if somebody throwing $60,000 at you is legitimate without checking with, is that right? You know, what if the next guy comes in at 20,000? Who do you believe?
Yeah,
That's the only reason I say, okay, somebody, if it's something that you have bought before and you see that it's a roundabout, you know, we don't require on the budgetary thing 3 separate quotes, but when you actually go to buy it, we have to have, depending on the amount.
That could, of course, speed things along, quite a bit. Where I've gotten in, not in trouble, but where the, budget is run thin with us this year is, I guess, unplanned stuff or the annual stuff that either wasn't done in the past wasn't planned for this year, but still needed to be done. So I still have items that go back 2 or 3 years that were placed in as part of the budget that still hasn't been got or hasn't been purchased. How do I take and plan the unprepared for, budgetary items?
Welcome to my world. You have a contingency. I mean, you should have contingency funds. I know that we do in all of our departments. The fire department has historically had a contingency that,
Is that what you call the capital reserve? or-
capital reserve is different. That's more for the purchase of a large piece of equipment. Contingency funds are usually set up and alongside as a budget line item alongside, your other budget items.
I know that in the private sector, contingencies for jobs that are bid and stuff are usually a percentage of the total budget.
Yeah, and you can do that with, it's same way, you're getting to the same place. Just semantics of what it's, how you're getting there.
And there is, the little bit that was involved with them in the private sector, there really isn't a definition on what the contingency funds are for. It's just a percentage of the total budget in case something happens.
You could put one in a contingency for equipment, you could put one in the contingency for either, well, you don't really have personnel, but buildings and then
I
equipment.
guess contractual and equipment are the 2 items that are a big part of.
Yeah.
Of what
Like you
I
don't
have
know if the-
discretionary spending over.
Right, you don't know if the boiler's, on its last leg again.
The items as far as insurance, bills, insurance, phone bills, electric, gas, all that stuff can be handled on a percent increase instead of.
Right, yeah, you
Mhm.
try to pad a little bit for it. Try and start high, and then if we sit down and we look at it, which I had done in the past. Not last year, but the year prior, with Bill, Fisher, and I'm not sure if you're taking any advice from him. He was really good to work with for me the first year that, he did the budget, so you and I talked about that, so we can go over it, you and I, or the board, any of the board members can take a look at it too, and before we put it on and get a final number for our 25, 26 budget.
The stuff that was due that Julie had said that I should stop some of my spending right now until, because I've exceeded a comfortable cushion for the rest of the year. As you can see, there's some pretty big ticket items in there. How do you want to proceed with those things? I feel that they are important to the operation and safety of the department. What's your feelings on that?
But put them in the budget for June 1st.
I did not do them this year.
Well, if you don't have the money, I would defer to Julie to see how much you've got left.
Which I gave you that, right?
You gave
Yeah.
me, it's difficult for me. I'm not a forensic accountant, but I can balance a checkbook.
Mhm.
And I've asked for the sheet that I asked you for shows up. It shows a lot of numbers in columns. It doesn't really define what the items were that were in there. To go back and try to figure out where I've spent and how much is left to have it doesn't make sense to me trying to do that. Is there a more detailed or a different?
There's not a report. I mean, I can do a report that just breaks down all vendors and all report, everything that's spent out of the 3410 account. Or you can come and look at it. We've got literally, we keep a folder with everything out of that has every bill. You can actually see the bill. You can actually see the rec. You can see all the paperwork that went with it. So you can have it either way, but you'd have to come into the office to get if you want to look at
Sneak them
the
out?
you can't sneak them out. You can absolutely come up and work in the other room. And that way, if you have a question, it's always a good idea, because Danae and I are sitting right in the office. Hey, what's this? Or why did we get this then? Or, those questions can be answered right away. It's generally just come in on a day where you've got the time and sit down in the conference room, and we can help you walk through it too.
The expense level.
Yeah.
The annual contracts, the stuff for the hose, the air packs, the air compressors, the ladders, all that stuff that is recommended is inspected on a yearly basis. When that stuff is categorized, I guess that goes under the
Contractual.
contractual.
Yeah, equipment would go under equipment, and contractual, like when they actually perform the service and the labor for it would go under contractual. But if you're actually buying equipment, that's a tangible item, that would go under equipment. That breakdown, you would say, this is my list of equipments that I know I'm gonna need, and then you would have the list of all of your, this is the labor that's involved in it, the inspections, people coming in and checking out our fire alarms, people coming in and, checking your Ansel system, all that stuff is what you would put under contractual.
So being able to go back to realize what I had spent in order to plan for the next year, will that stuff be defined or detailed?
Well, yeah, like I said, we can, if you look in that folder, it will show you everything that has been taken out of your budget has been spent out of your budget this year. It'll have every invoice in there. It'll show you everything that's come through me. And at some point you've seen them because you've had to sign a rec form.
Yeah. I sometimes forget what I submitted. The prioritizing, or I don't want to call it a workaround, but some sort of mechanism that could be put into place. Well, when we had the most recent repair that was time sensitive for the recent tank.
331, yeah.
332.
Oh, 332, okay.
Are there mechanisms that can be installed, or so that we can affect those repairs a little quicker?
Yeah, that would be the contingency, like I was saying about it. You take maybe, I think you had 2 at around 14 and change. That happened within the last couple of months. So maybe you would put 30,000 in a contingency for emergency repairs.
Where I had the problem was that we realized something was wrong. We defined the vendor that could do the repair, because nobody else had wanted it. I pulled whatever strings I could to get it in there, and then when the repair costs come, I needed to resubmit competitive bidding, which one said that they weren't interested in doing it, the other one said that they couldn't, which was already a duplicate, but then after I had done that, then I needed to again wait for approval from the board. If that repair invoice, if I had had the ability to approve it at that time, there wouldn't have been the lag because it fell out of the sequence for moving through the shop. And then it ended up being at the back of the line again and extended the amount of time that it took to get the repair done. If there was a way to speed the process up, when we already know, or I already knew that it was gonna be this one vendor that was gonna do it, and we had no other options, we could have gotten the repair done quicker.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to declare an emergency. And then the board would convene as much as we could for a special approval, and we can do that rather quickly. We just need to let the papers know, and now that we're doing 2 meetings a month, I think, you're not gonna run into that as often as having to wait a whole month or a month and another week because there's a holiday, so.
The
I
other
think-
thing too is if you would come with at the rec, if when you submitted the rec, you knew that nobody else was gonna be able to do the work. Because when the first rec came in, you were just saying, I'm having these guys look at it. We don't know
Yeah.
what's wrong with it. We're having them look at it. So that meant it wasn't an emergency. So that meant it fell into the realm of our procurement policy. So if you had come at that sentence, said, listen, we're gonna have to have done whatever needs to be done as soon as possible, as soon as they look at this. That would have at that point said, okay, well, maybe this is gonna be an emergency, but we needed to know that at the time of the wreck.
Yeah, that was my bad then. I was not aware of that.
Yeah, that's just the way that
Phrasing that,
it's very difficult for the state to recognize an emergency, especially if you've ever had any kind of problem with any of the equipment. For instance, say your furnace is giving you problems. You had somebody come in and look at it. Well, gee, I had them come in and look at it twice. Now it's not an emergency. Now, if it dies in the middle of the night, we can't just go buy you a new one. If you have it fixed immediately, that can be an emergency or replaced immediately. But once you have a history of a problem with something, it throws the emergency out the window.
It's
as long
backwards.
It's, yes,
when
absolutely.
the building freezes up, then.
Right now, it's an
then it's
emergency.
Emergency, we can get to a building.
Believe me, it's
And it's not our doing.
It's not,
the
it's
law,
state.
the state procurement
It's
policy.
state, that's on the state, and it's like,
We're not trying to make it.
we
harder for you,
can,
Jim,
yeah,
really
no,
not.
believe me. It'd be so much easier if I could just sign off on stuff.
As long as we are on that, the building repairs goes under the contractual.
Contractual, or if it's like, for instance, some of the stuff goes under contractual, some of it goes under our group building maintenance. For instance, light bulbs need to be changed. That's all of the buildings. I don't put it under fire. You know, basic upkeep to the building goes under buildings, which goes for all of our visitor center here, the firehouse, like that. If it's something particular to your building, like the Ansel, I put that under contractual because it's only for you that we have to do this.
Is there a way to categorize that stuff out a little further?
Not really. There's only so many codes that you can use.
You just don't keep adding zeros?
Yeah, no.
Handprint money,
No,
yeah.
but that's how, when you look at the 041, that means it's, you know, one's gonna be fire. 043 means that's electricity, one's electricity, one's phones. No, that's okay.
See you, Johnny. See you, Frank. Thanks, guys.
I guess the 3140.1 or.
0.02 is for equipment, 0.04 is contractual, 0.04. I'm not sure, like, without it in front of me. 4.1 is, like I said, it's like electrical. 4.2 is.
Like, if
is-
you know you're gonna need a roof, not that you know you're gonna need a roof, but.
Kind of outside my scope.
Right,
But
yeah.
I mean, our guys can get visually inspect, if you know you're
That
gonna
would-
need some gutter work done. Let us know and we'll budget in our buildings budget for it. So
Right, but it
doesn't
goes,
really get-
something like
has
that
to
would
do
go
with
under
you
buildings.
Or building.
But like I said, the Ansel system or something that's specific to just the fire department would go under your contractual. We try to keep as much of that out of there as we can. But some of it, like basic maintenance stuff, we do under our buildings.
So if they have specific light bulbs that only are used in the, no,
We-
can
yeah.
they, that's something that we don't stock? Is it-
We would order
We
that
would
for
take it out of our
buildings. We would-
building.
Right, but I'm saying, are we be able to have them on hand, or like we have like regular light bulbs or something like that?
Right, like when the heating, well, for instance, when there was the mold issue last year, that came out of buildings, it
Right.
didn't come out of fire.
Well, I'm just saying this way, if they got light bulbs or
Mhm.
something like that, you know, whether it's just.
There's
something-
not too much stuff that's
Be on
different
the
for them,
building,
other
right.
than,
Well, just, I know sometimes the halogen lights that might be in the bays or something, I don't know what's in them, but,
you
you know, that's
know,
something.
we try
that-
to keep track of all of
Yeah.
that.
Done.
So to upgrade our phone system. How do we go about that? Our phones haven't been upgraded in probably since the new building.
Right,
Again, you would budget that in your.
but
your
that
fire-
you would budget in that's part of operations. We'll house you, you handle the
actual-
operations.
The
part.
actual,
So put a line, or put an amount, I think, what did we spend, $7,000 on phones or something like that, and.
like the equipment part the equipment would go under your equipment budget.
Right.
And then the actual monthly charges would go under your 043 or whatever.
Just like if you're renting an
And it
apartment
shouldn't
and
be
you
a
wanna
whole
buy a
lot more than
cordless
what you're
phone, the
currently paying.
landlord's not gonna buy you a cordless phone.
Right.
You're gonna buy your cordless phone, or whatever.
I didn't know where because I don't think we paid for the phones when the building went up.
I think it was part of the
Was
build.
it part of the whole building?
Yeah.
So if we want to upgrade them, that's back on us.
Or your sign.
Don't wanna talk about that.
I don't wanna talk about it either. I'm getting people telling me
We
to
have
put the old
we
wood
have
one back.
choices coming because they're sending us everything to make it a brand new sign. Because we're just at that point. The software was too fast for the computer that came with the sign. Then we're basically rebuilding the whole sign, so get ready for another quote to come through.
Okay,
We might as well just do it at this point. We put so many parts in it now.
well, yeah, well, there's some members of your group that wanna put the wood one back up and.
They can shut up too.
The technology on the old sign last.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's still working.
He would be one of them. That's not, we've come this far with that sign.
No, we're pot committed at this point.
And the internet was the only other thing. I think we need to boost our internet again because it's terrible.
Yeah,
And that has to do with the sign as well. If the internet speed isn't enough to keep the sign up with the technology,
right.
it's not helping.
I was
us.
thinking about Slick. We have an arrangement with Slick Fiber,
Really?
to provide, internet service to some of our buildings. Now,
3 of them, right?
3, I think, is our contract with them. We could swap out the DPW and add the fire company, if you need that type of an upgrade, but we could talk about that at another
Yeah.
time. This is,
Well.
we're
I
kinda
won't
mired
forget.
here. Okay, don't let me forget either.
No, I'm sure we use a lot more internet. DPW. that's
Yeah,
for sure.
DPW's, they
Yeah.
got one computer there. Okay,
I think, Jim, the best bet would be for you to come in, where you have a couple hours and we can help you step by step on, okay, we're gonna look at this line item and this line item. The main thing that you need to come in with is the equipment that you know you're gonna be needing or wanting to have service that hasn't been serviced or whatever. The rest of the daily kind of stuff, we can help you with all of that.
So, yeah, and bigger elephant in the room is planning for, the big expenses in the near future under the capital reserve. Is there opportunities to boost that up?
Sure, put it in your budget. Then that way, well, we gotta start somewhere, so we put it in the budget, if it comes in to be, an increase like we've never seen, then we have to talk and see what we can take out of it. It's, you start big and chip away and try to make it affordable and fair and equitable all.
So for your next meeting, as far as the transfer of company assets to the village or the department, or you're just gonna need an inventory of the equipment that's going and what stuff the county owns inside.
Yeah, exactly that. And then, I don't know, we'll have to discuss it amongst ourselves. I mean, it's the companies right now, some of it, and we gotta see, do we wanna take ownership of it? I would actually probably ask our attorney what other communities have done and who owns what in what communities and why. Cause, I know there was a couple years ago, you guys wanted to give us a truck or something like that, or maybe you did.
We did.
Yeah, still wasn't sure if that was a good recommendation, but we took it, but. So we'll find a little bit more out in the next 2 weeks.
Are there any other questions for us?
Nope. No, unless anybody here has, and I want to speak for everybody.
So we're doing such a wonderful job down there.
You are, we appreciate
Try
you.
hard.
Let's fix the sign.
You know, just,
We're working hard on the sign.
I-
We do have friends coming in for front panels and a couple of other parts inside, everything that Russ can do. We
Yeah.
just need to okay it and see what we're looking at price wise.
See what kind of bake sale you're gonna have to have for that.
The price wasn't gonna scare us, but
This might be like a weird outside idea. Do you guys have like a weight room in there or like
We
a
do.
workout
We do.
room? Could they like?
Nope.
No, you can't
No.
like charge people to go work out and that'd be a way to make.
No,
money.
no.
There is
No.
liability.
I was like, I didn't know. That's a
Yeah.
good way to make money.
If you wanna use the treadmill, you can.
No, I just, there's no gym in this area.
Shut up, seriously?
yeah.
doing the ladies.
We're the fire commissioners, all 5 of us.
But
was
I
thinking
do
of a
want
way to
to
make
commend the fire company. I went to a second meeting that they had, the first Tuesday of every month. They run a nice tight ship and they do a wonderful job, maneuvering through their, between everyone they have. First lieutenant, this one, anyone have anything?
Through the ranks.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy, but they move right along and they have a nice dinner too, so. I just want to commend you guys for having such a tight ship. Yep, I just want to commend you for having such a tight ship and moving along with the meetings. So, thank you, nice
Okay.
job.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, so moving on, Tom Sullivan, our co-chair of
Yeah.
the planning board,
What?
or the zoning board of appeals. Signed up for a meeting, but he was ill and, the meeting cost us $90, so I don't know what the board wants to do. He was sick. Did we ask if we could get the money back from the organization because?
We did, they will not give us it because it was not within the time frame. But like I said, it's tough. Normally, if somebody cancels because, hey, I just can't make it.
Yeah.
Charge them the $90. You were supposed to go, you committed to it, we signed you up,
You paid for you.
pay for it back. This is an illness.
Yeah, guy was sick. I
I don't,
I
I
didn't-
just,
we don't
but I
pay
need
these
board
guys.
approval to say,
They're
no, you don't have to. pay.
anything to serve.
It was like $40 a meeting.
Yeah, I
This
think
is
it's something.
90.
Yeah, like I
This
said,
is
it
$90
wasn't due,
for the
it
whole
wasn't due to
course.
because he couldn't.
Is that what it's
go.
$40 now? Was that,
I think
it's
it's,
25.
it used to be
It
25.
started, it used to be
Yeah.
0. All
Yeah.
the years I was
I
on, it
don't-
was 0 a meeting.
Yeah, I don't think the town pays their people. We're the only
They,
ones.
no,
that pay.
I know when I was on planning board, I got paid.
Yeah, but they don't now. They
Oh, no.
stopped a couple of years ago. Dan was just mentioning it the other day
Oh,
when we were talking about this.
40.
It could be. I don't know. We
Yeah.
haven't looked at those fee
I
schedules.
honestly-
We probably should.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I would be okay with, if we just covered this $90 and not charge them, but I'll let you guys weigh in if you'd like.
No, that makes sense. I feel like we'd be they don't really do it for that much money and we're kind of punishing. if we
Exactly.
You
make
got
up
sick,
stuff.
how dare
And we don't
you?
need them to say, I ain't, I've
Yeah,
done that.
screw it.
You know.
Right,
Give you $90, man.
Or have somebody sick going to the meetings, we don't want that
A
either.
motion to waive the fee to him. Yeah, you can make that. Okay.
Motion.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by trustee Joe. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Here votes aye. Thanks, guys. I think that was very human. So Danae is going to be retiring in September. We kind of want to hit the ground running and try to find somebody. Took us 6 months to find a payroll clerk and secretary. Like to, and treasurer's a little more
Involved.
yeah.
It's a niche kind of thing, you have to have municipality, you can't just be a.
Municipal experience.
Yeah,
Can't just be an
you
accountant
can't just
or a
be an
bookkeeper.
accountant or whatever, you've gotta have municipal experience, because it's so different from everything else.
Is he strictly treasurer or is he treasurer?
She is just
She is,
treasurer.
she is treasurer and deputy clerk,
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Is there any way that you
she's my
can-
backup.
You can hire someone without the experience and then we pay for courses or something of that nature, like if we can't find anyone with the.
I mean,
experience?
yeah, that will be the worst case scenario.
Okay,
We really wanna get somebody in that can basically come in ground running, because I cannot teach them all of our municipal accounting.
right.
There's no, it's like. And the reason I'm asking for it now is because it took so long. And also, it would be great if we could get somebody that could actually walk through the end of year processes, our budget processes, or. The AUD that she has to file every year. Get in, the stuff and actually experience and handle the money that comes in every week from the parking revenue and stuff like that. You want to get somebody in here and learning what's special for the village while she's here to be able to train.
She is retiring in September.
She is retiring in September. So what that would mean is we would have to have, and I've got it presented in my budget. We would basically need to be able to pay a second person. It would be a lesser amount from June. I don't believe that whoever we hire, we're gonna have to hire in at the rate that she's getting right now. The main thing is I'm looking for permission to start looking.
And you would budget for both of them.
Mhm.
Yeah, so will you be paying two people?
I mean,
for like
all of it would
4
go in
months?
front of you guys and I would say, hey, listen, we found somebody who's astronomical and we really love them and this is what it would cost. And, at that point I would present to you, do you guys want to hire this person and how we would fund it? At this point, we're just looking at starting to look. Because I don't know how many applicants I'm gonna get. Right, because it is such a.
Well, she came from we kind of poached her, so.
Yeah, well, right
Came
after
from
she got
Southwest.
fired.
Well,
Well, she got fired when there was a regime change
Yeah.
there.
He
and the guy
wiped,
hired his
he
cousin or
he
something.
basically, yeah, he wiped the slate clean over there.
Uh,
It wasn't just her.
So
All right.
I'll make a motion to allow you to
Start
start
looking.
hindering around there and poking the bears. See if anyone's available.
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Mayor votes aye. Number 6, we never got to on the end of the last meeting because everyone had left, and when we came out of executive session, they just left. I did speak with the county a couple of times, and they're just under the assumption that what I thought could happen is happening, and where Matt is in conversation with Larry Alman, their attorney, to redraw the event. But what I had in mind is what I'd like to discuss with you guys. We can't really there's no point for this position any longer. I wanted to, since there is some compensation there available, I would ask to get a portion of it, but also save a portion and save the village taxpayer by using a portion of it. I think it's 5,000 or so for Debonair. So that when we give the raises that I talked about raising, it's not gonna cost the village taxpayer anything, and the village is under a contract, so we can use it for that, and then put 5,000. There was only 2,000 set aside for DPW overtime, and I think we get to where we can exceed that on some levels. I would rather just reserve that on it, but that's what I would like to do. It's open for discussion.
So you're saying use the portion that the county was going to pay?
Yeah, we had, the intermunicipal agreement states that the county contributes 15,000, the town contributes 5, and the village contributes 15. To this intermunicipal agreement.
Right.
That being said, there would be 10,000 that we could give between the DPW overtime and Devon A's well-deserved raise.
Mhm.
And then there'd be 25 left, which we could add to the mayor's salary, which would give me a living wage. And I don't have to scamper around trying to earn money and not do my job. And that wouldn't cost the village taxpayer anything. Now, this contract's only good for another year. And then we would go into a renewal process if the powers that be at the county want to continue doing that or not. It's a at my risk, I guess, thing.
Right.
So I was thinking that you were talking about just taking the county's portion and accepting that because we are doing the work at Wood Park for them. That 15 would be spread between you, Debonair, and
Well, they want us to have some skin in the IMA, in the,
okay.
so they want to. Because of the ownership of the park is a
Right.
third. I mean, we
Right.
might be able to negotiate that a little bit, but
So how would it be worded? Would it be
well, that's.
in the budget, it would be put as your salary would be going from 50 to,
75.
and then that would be,
And yeah, we would put it as the contribution from the IMA with the town and county. Pending on that's the life of that intermunicipal agreement.
right, I guess I'm just thinking, would it stay that way forever now that we've set the bar at 75? So say like any like future mayors who don't want to do the special meetings, are they still at 75? And now then the board is having to look for,
Right, no,
Somebody-
and no, we would definitely have wording in there
okay,
that that we as a board would have to approve that. That's not how that works. The taxpayer based salary is 50,000. And supplementals, if they come in from a county or an intermunicipal agreement, is determined by the sitting board. Because no, I would not want to lock everybody into that, because then you're gonna get somebody who wants to, like you said, isn't gonna want to do the special events or isn't gonna want to care about that.
And again, being contractual,
It's
next year,
contractual.
they might not even say, no, we're not gonna do
Yeah.
anything.
And that's,
You're on your own with events.
Mhm.
Not saying they will, but, he's at that, so, next year they might sit there and say they're willing to give 10.
yeah, it's depending on, and that board changes every couple of years
Yeah.
or every
2 years.
2 years.
mhm. I feel that I'm fine abolishing the position. I feel like I still might need time to think about the money. Is that possible?
That's fine. We only have this resolution
Okay.
drawn up to abolish. I'm just telling you what I'm thinking for budget
Right.
purposes, and when we have more time, well, the next budget workshop, we'll have to do one in March.
Right.
I'm on the same page as Allison because we got a lot of blowback on the going from 50 to
Right.
to 85. Now it's still gonna go from 50 to 75. So it still is gonna be that unfortunately we've been put in a position where the previous mayor did all this for 40.
Mhm.
So it's just not a good look,
Not, it depends on who you talk to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Sure, it does depend on who you talk to.
right. People I've talked to in the process of getting my petition signed,
Mm.
they say the same thing. It's a lot of, and it's hard for them to understand how did that add up?
Yeah.
Not to say what you're doing as mayor is very obvious to see and see the results of that, but when it comes to doing events, I don't know how much I don't know what goes on behind the scenes. You know, as far as what your work is and how much effort it is. I think I'm more concerned or more focused on the selection and the diversity and the variety of events, and not so much how much it's being, how much it costs to put it out there, yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
And I know that Debonair does a lot of good work, and she's certainly worth more money. I was kind of thinking having Debonair take over maybe a bigger role with occupancy tax money.
She's at capacity with planning and zoning.
Yeah,
I just want to compensate her for what she's already doing really well.
yeah.
And it's a good way to do it, that it doesn't cost the taxpayers any. Her raise is,
Right.
and if I get one, then my raise doesn't cost the taxpayers any money.
Well, it never was because it was occupancy tax, right?
Right, well, that our taxpayers, everybody pays taxes, but.
Right, but it was that.
Yeah,
that
it was
whole.
the initial,
Right,
Yeah.
The
initial
initial,
salary of $50,000, but the rest of that money would be coming from occupancy tax money.
Yeah.
Not from the residents that
Right.
paying taxes in the village.
the only difference, there's no separate title, so you're just like.
Well, it's a contractual agreement with the county,
Right, okay.
Which the county could drop at any time.
right? They can not not renew it, automatically renews 1 year, and then it goes up for grabs the next year.
So,
I think it was a 3-year note, a 3-year
yeah,
agreement.
but all that was being done until Bob retired. And then once Bob retired, then we created this new position. And now we're stuck with it.
Well, the county.
Well, we're
I don't
not,
think
we're
the
actually about to
county-
abolish
I mean,
it.
The county
Expensive,
wasn't,
yeah,
yeah,
expensive.
but the county wasn't giving us money before when Bob was,
Mm-mm.
the county started giving us money when we came up with the position. 2
Well,
years
Bob
ago.
came up with
Come
the
with the
position.
position.
Right, but I'm saying, no,
Let's be honest.
but we approved it, so when we came up with
You
the
did, I
position.
did.
Did you vote
All right,
against it?
you
I
voted
yeah.
against it, but I'm just saying, it's not, it's something that doesn't affect the taxpayer, it is coming out of occupancy tax. So that's the biggest thing, it's not, that I look at, it's someone doing a position that is gonna be taking less than what was given before. Through,
Not initially, if you look back at it, it was 40,000 for
well, but he
everything.
got a raise though, again though, that was Bob doing whatever Bob was doing, running whatever, going down, running some of the events and all that, some of the ones that he came up with, the fishing tournament and stuff like that.
And
but-
even Denise would say from time to time that she did everything, so, and that was one of her gripes. Was, I don't know why he's saying he's doing all this. If it wasn't for me, none of this stuff would get done. I feel very similar about Debonair. Debonair is an integral part in the planning of events, and I would like to revisit the suggested thing that we talked about for events in Shepherd Park. They should be charitable events and they should be family friendly. It should be, Wood Park is a different animal. I think the county just wants that to have activities in the weekends. Right?
Can I say something real quick? It's actually, I agree with what everyone's saying. I think we're all in agreement on this. I'm in the middle of it right now. Use the analogy, you own a business, you own a building, you don't fix up little things every year, then you're stuck with at the end of a chunk of time, a huge project, huge cost rather than a little bit every year. And that's the way I kind of looked at, now I'll probably get shunned for this, that's the way I looked at the former leadership. Instead of doing little incremental raises or doing a better product of a job, unfortunately, I've only been here for 10 years, but I seen it. We didn't, or pardon me, the previous leadership didn't do those small incremental changes, things that were needed. And now it kind of caboose into these past couple of years with the new elections and so on. And here we are, where it's a mass undertaking, a mass haul, instead of being small incremental raises, from up to a living wage. So you got hit with this big, quote unquote raise, and that's what you're seeing out there, because it does look astonishing. How can you go from one thing to another? But then you look at use the term quality of the work, or the idea of a cruise control. these past few years, and now we're at a point where our phone system, our internet, everything down the line needs to happen so quickly. And it's this idea of that part-time job that the former leadership said, it's not, it really is a big undertaking, and I akin it to when you have a squeaky floor, you know you have to do maintenance on it. 10 years later, you realize you have to replace all the rot and rebuild the entire floor. That's kind of where we're at right now, and that's the way I'm quantifying no raises, money, and so on. And I think that's the most straightforward, common sense way, because people ask, John is correct, people do ask about the, hey, but you're getting paid more money and so on. And I look at it, and I'm like, well, if you look at unfortunately, the job that was being done and how long it's been done at that cost, did it really match up to what your wages should have been? And did we really grow, or did we just kind of patch it up over years? Kind of like every other property in Lake George. Did it just patch it up, or did they gut it and create it? And that's where we're at now. We're at this gut point where it's with our telephones, our systems, and so on. And instead of taking some handyman special, we're actually in the middle of a big rebuild right now. And it's been a lot of work. And this board, you and Joe have been on it for a while. It's unfortunate because these past couple of years, we had to learn and get up to speed, because you have that knowledge, you understand where we're coming from. And it's been really hard on this board. It's been hard on our new mayor also, because all of a sudden we have to fix up the past dozen or so years really quickly. And I do get your frustrations, because I couldn't imagine sitting and watching this slow moving thing occur over the years. I just wanted to say that on the record, like, put up with a lot. You did. And here we are today, where we're basically rebuilding this thing after the vote for dissolution rather, and so on, solution. And it's a lot of work. It's a full-time job, and it's a full-time salary. It's needed. And we need a strong leadership and a combined board. And I'm excited to say this is why I'm happy we're having 2 meetings. We're able to communicate now openly and without any animosity, real ideas coming out. And so that's where I lay as far as paying more for a job. You pay for what you get. CEO, $7 million budget. It really is a full-time job. This village isn't a part-time job, and as your property owners, businesses, and so on. You really want full-time attention to your investment, whether it's with your family or your business, as far as leadership goes here. So that's all. At the end, I think everyone's doing a good job. And I think that unfortunately for the past couple of years, he's been playing a lot of catch up and understanding the playing field, because it's definitely changed a lot from when I first moved here and we had our first talks and I first moved here to now. It's changed, and I can see a lot of the cracks. I don't see the gum on the street, but I do see the cracks that you're talking about, and you're absolutely correct.
The sidewalk.
The sidewalk, yeah.
Street, I
and-
don't care.
yeah. But you're right, and that's what I'm looking at now, and it's a very big job. The word daunting could be used. It is big, and the only way we could get this done together, again, whether I love the second meeting, is just that understanding. So when people on the street are asking about pay and so on, it's commensurate to the amount of work that has to be done, because it's mentally and physically, it's gonna be a lot. And you're gonna have to constantly protect yourself and play defense on the job that you're doing. But it's nice to feel like we're moving forward and to see that we're moving forward, and your younger families moving into the area for this. And that's what we're nothing more than stewards for the lake. Not to be too cliche about it, but I go off on tangents. For years, things aren't getting done. They're getting done now. We're in a massive overhaul. And that's where I think that we have to think about that when it comes to pay and so on. Sorry,
No.
I'll get
Is
on.
it-
Does that make sense?
It just to add something again, we talked about Bob getting the 40 for being this consultant for special directors.
Yeah,
35.
40 for me being. a mayor.
35,
Yeah, 35.
right, but at the same time too, now I don't know if anyone ever really even thought about this, but the mayor is also getting full-time social security. He raised up from 20 to 40. So the last 5 years of his, and I'm not saying badly about him,
Mhm.
but to get the maximum of his
Retirement.
social security. So now for the past I don't know, he's 85 now? or
88.
So for the past 20 years, he's getting maxed out for his social security. And then he was also getting paid 40 for, so basically he had two jobs and he was. You
There's a
know,
lot of things that were done right, but.
Yeah.
no, but I'm saying, no, but still being at 40,000 plus getting 14,000 a month or something like that. Again, it's, you know, and then once he left here, the 40, he got 35 from the county and everyone else. So he was still making that same.
Who
So,
knows what he was making.
but I'm saying, no, trackable wise, you know, on the books, he was getting social security and he was getting the stipend from the director of special events. So basically, he's getting almost $80,000
What,
for his salary.
yeah,
If between living
Well,
expenses,
yeah.
living, what he was
He
receiving
had
a year.
he had
So-
other revenue streams, but the difficult part is for us to say, Ray goes from here to here to here, so he already went from 40 to 10. I don't know if it would be acceptable to like spread it out a little bit, make it.
But-
make it-
but the other
Then what
25
do we do
isn't
with the
coming
money that the
from-
county's already contractually obligated to give us? We have to give it back? And the town, so that'd have to be a percentage walked back, because we can't keep it.
I don't know, it just, you can imagine it's gonna.
But we could
Blow
think
up in all
about
our
it, but
faces.
I think
again,
it's defendable.
yeah,
I
but
mean,
think,
these guys, I'm not gonna vote on it.
yeah,
Three of us think it's defendable, though. Actually, I'm not gonna ask Julie to weigh in, but I won't speak for her either, but I believe that everybody in the office thinks it's defendable.
Yeah.
Because they see the work that's going into the job.
I think it sounds like we're trying to make a decision between the traditional style mare, right? Like a traditional style mare is around like $50,000 a year and it's part-time. And then we're saying that maybe we, the Village of Lake George, are trying to go away from the traditional style and we're trying to say that we would like a mayor to be full-time, also mayor, but also, I guess, what, like steering our events or steering our tourism, which would be paid for by occupancy tax. So we're kind of looking at like this traditional style, and then we're also saying like, well, we're deciding to be a little non-traditional. We want our mayor to be full-time and steer things, but not with village taxpayer dollars. So it's like a weird situation.
Yeah.
In our
Definitely we have to
code,
think
in our
more
code,
about-
in our code, it is written that it is a full-time position.
Yeah, at 40,000, and I did see that.
It is full-time.
Yeah, which is an interesting thing
Like
to
the
have
mayor
in
of
there
Glens
for
Falls
sure,
makes
like-
$50,000 a year and that's a
Just
part-time.
for records
Right.
purposes, the $40,000 was decided over 20 years.
Right, yeah, no, I
It was in place
Well,
for over
and
20
we had-
years.
There was,
I think
probably a
it's,
reason for not taking the raise, theoretically, because that would encourage somebody to run against him.
Right, and
The
I
only
would
one that-
welcome a challenge because
The only one that
I
ran
could put
against
my, I
him was
would put my
Joe.
resume up against somebody else.
Right.
Yeah, Joe was the only, but I'm,
And
you know, I've
he-
learned
You're
the
that
job. We're
historical
making
knowledge I was
strides and
talking about.
improvements, like we, you know, did the phone system. We're doing the internet. We're gonna, you know, build a brand new Shepherd Park. There's a lot that goes into it and, I don't think Lake George is traditional in any sense of the way, because when you talk like real estate, you talk comps. You're all familiar with comps.
Comparable.
There is no comps for Lake George. I mean, there is no other village in this state that draws the revenue that we do, draws the people that we do, has the population swell that Lake George Village has. So, yeah, you could compare me to other mayors all day long. They're all part-time. Every single one of them.
so I think I just want the time to like ask our residents, like what they prefer. Do they prefer the traditional style or this non-traditional style, which I think my end goal is I just want our residents to be happy and for the Village of Lake George to continuously be improving, you
Mhm.
know, and if everyone.
I'm not asking for a decision tonight. I'm
Yeah,
just
no.
throwing you
I'm
what I
curious.
No,
was
and I
hoping to
wouldn't-
do, but this we could vote on.
Yeah,
But, yeah, for that, but, and that's why I just mentioned, you've got a couple weeks to think about it.
Yeah.
And that's why I threw out again. That Bob was receiving social security at 40, whatever, plus, you know, 40 from the village and 40 again from the special events director. So, I mean, it's, like I said, just
And I'll
consider the double
talk to
payments that he was
anybody that
getting, that's all.
you talk to and communicate with me and I'll
Sure.
talk to them because it's defendable and most people that I talk to are like, this is just ridiculous, you know? How do you expect
To keep someone in.
Yeah, well, you get someone, you know, you're limiting yourself. And I've said this in the past, to someone who is drawing a pension or drawing social security, because this is a full-time job and and then you're stuck with someone who's, sorry, John, 65, 70 years old, that is drawing a pension. Like, you're not, but I mean, a lot of people your age are. But then you have a 65-year-old mindset. You're very youthful, but
45.
But I'm just saying, that's you're pigeonholing the position into the only people that can afford to do it.
And that's why my refused that I could never run against him again, because I couldn't afford a pay cut.
Yeah, it's hard to live on $40,000. That's your only job.
Yeah.
Hard to live on that and your wife working too, with 2 kids in college, or a kid in college and another one getting ready for it.
Can I make a motion to abolish? Are we there?
Yeah. I'll say.
I like to see the athlete
Okay,
for this one.
Motion Jose, seconded by John Root.
John Graham.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Mayor votes aye. All right, but yeah, food for thought. I'm not gonna dwell on this any longer. I'm trying to make this an hour meeting and, well, I failed.
And fire department.
Yeah. We should talk. So the EGS agreement, I mentioned this to you guys briefly. This is for a utility broker. Won't change anything. They will review our phone bills, cell phone bills, prior utility bills in the past and split the difference with us, and also monitor our Constellation account and the potential when we go to the solar farm and Nexamp, which Dan is gonna talk about it on our next meeting. They're looking at saving, not just with these guys, the next amp, because we can now incorporate the pumps for our water pumps and our wastewater treatment pumps and all of the mechanisms that go on up there. We'll save in the 10-year period $1 million.
20-year period.
20-year period is $1 million.
$1
We'll
million
save.
saving.
And all employees, which we sign on with these guys, all employees of the village, which you guys are considered, gets a 10% discount on your electric bill. So there'll be a QR code that all of our employees can scan, and then it goes right through National Grid, whoever their supplier is. It's either supply or delivery. It's one of the two that you get 10% on, because they broke it up a few years ago to confuse all of us.
Maybe delivery.
Yeah. So it's either the supply, but that's a little bonus. So I just need permission for me to sign this agreement with EGS.
Make the motion to allow the mayor to sign the agreement with EGS.
Motion by trustee Root. Is there a
I'll
second?
second this.
Seconded by trustee Master Domenico. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
We wouldn't get in trouble though for doing that if they were trying to give us a 10%. I feel like, is there like a conflict?
It's not
of
really
interest?
us, it's our
Okay.
employees.
Okay, because that's what I
Yeah.
don't want it to seem like.
No,
we're
no, no,
fighting
no.
With them for
It's
like,
just
oh,
a-
10%.
We get a 10% or, yeah,
Yeah.
10% discount on
Interest.
cell
Yeah,
phones.
I just
Through-
don't
If
want
you have
it.
Verizon, you get a 10% discount just for being a state employee, which we
Yeah.
kind of are in a weird way.
Sure.
Audits and transfers. Take a motion to approve those.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Filomeno. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Opposed say nay. Mayor votes aye. All right, anybody got anything else to talk about? That's what we're here for.
Yeah.
I mean, we did just devote a lot of time to
Yeah.
one topic, but
When do you start working on the budget? Or have you?
I
already
have,
started working on
we
it?
have started. I went over some stuff with Nam trying to figure out. I just did a new worksheet for Octax and some placeholders that are out there. Trying to get rid of Second Chance, which we paid $90,000 to last year for bathroom cleaners, and I think we can. For the summer, yeah. There was, the state paid them like $23 an hour, but we had to pay them $31 an hour. Now, it started out cheaper. And I think the reason it was established is because you can't pay direct wages unless there's a contract involved out of occupancy tax. So the state figured this out and said, well, contract with us and then you pay us and we'll pay the Second Chance people. And it just crept up. So the first year we did it, it was 40,000 for the whole summer. And it went up to 70, then it was 80. Last year it topped out at 90.
Well, they're getting, how much are they getting paid each person?
Each person's getting paid $23 an hour, but we were paying $31
To the
to
corporation.
to the state
the state.
agency.
Well, it was more than just. it
And that was, yeah,
They are reliable, they
Exactly,
show
hard
up,
to hide.
this is
hard
true.
to
That's
hide
the
it.
job gets done,
There's the the pros and then the cons is extreme cost, but
but you paid what you get for it, because a lot of times, in the past, people wouldn't show up, they weren't
Mhm.
doing a good job, and that, the biggest complaint were bathrooms. Some of
Yeah.
the biggest complaints.
Mhm.
I've got a call into Northern Janitorial.
Mhm.
Who was willing to even bid on it with anybody else that provides that type of service. I had talked to John and Keith about it, because it's staffing, still under their purview, and if they, you know, I'm not gonna throw something down
Mhm.
their throat, but we all agree that that's just too much money.
Well, that's when, back before we had Pete Trot.
Remember Pete Trotta?
So he kind of rode herd on all the
Mhm.
students,
Yeah,
but now there's no one there to take that brain.
we have an Evan.
And, man,
We have an
But we
Evan.
don't have the students.
Well, that's the thing, we could get the students easily. I talked to a couple of people, I talked to Laura Coles and Dave Kenny from the Georgian, and they are well-staffed with the H2Bs, and they live basically right around the corner from me on Phillip Street in the cottages there that used to be rentals, but they're
Did they also buy the place?
about S&J
Yes,
as well.
so that they've got a indentured servant, so it's easy for them.
Indentured servant,
You know, I
yes.
mean, they can
Yeah.
hold them, they know
Well,
where to find them.
but the H2Bs are much better than the J1s, because we had only J1s.
Uh,
H2Bs are adults, they're not students, it's Hispanic to business, that's what H2B stands for. They're older, they're like in their thirties, some of them are parents that are sending money home to a lot of, basically from Hispanic speaking
Mhm.
countries like, you know, the islands.
El
of Jamaica,
Salvador,
El Salvador, yeah, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Jamaica.
Yeah, so I'm working on that. That was a huge item. Those fireworks are still gonna be shared, the cost between the town and village out of the joint occupancy tax, so that's a little load off. Trying to save money and not spend quite so much, and maybe, I know they say not to put it as much into infrastructure for occupancy tax, but beautification. I really wanna shape things up, and you know, we're gonna have a lot of money spent in the park and on the amphitheater. And I wanna just augment that, you know, like just things that we've talked about for years, you know, you walk down there and this looks terrible.
Mhm.
I mean, it shouldn't. We have a name for ourselves. We're, you know, we wanna be our grounds to be as beautiful as the lake that we're looking out at, and I think.
and with all that
Judy,
money going into that, there's no reason why we
Right.
couldn't really.
Right.
Yeah,
fix
we're
that
we're at
up.
a crossroads here.
We are, and I
We gotta
think
up our game.
we can, and I really had a plan to, you know, paint every building. And then one burned, and that kind of threw us into a tailspin, but now we're gonna have a new building and. Paint the other ones, hopefully the observatory will get approved from the DRI, really class up Shepherd Park, but our back streets as well, the sidewalks. You know, we did a really nice job on the Montcalm Street sidewalk with the permeable pavers.
Yeah.
That has worked great. We are winning our sidewalk game this winter with the new machine, the sidewalk briner, which broke down today, sorry. The second time it broke down, so it's a lemon. The guy's like, the guy at the place we bought it from, he's like, we've never had any of these come back to us, and yours came back twice. We're like, give us another one, not this one. Don't fix this one and expect a different result, so hopefully but it does a great job. A day after the snowstorms, and when you run that thing, the sidewalks are clean. I don't know if you guys have been walking around or noticed, but I know you have.
You're not falling down. The pitch Canada Street, usually it's like a shelf of ice. When you're walking, it's clear, it's clean. Like there's nothing to worry about down our side streets are clean. I made a comment about it today. I've never seen it so nice. We just got a foot of snow. You know, that's why I'm weighing it against, we have a storm on Wednesday night.
I think so, and
Yeah.
get it into Thursday morning. But anyway, that's what I got. I really think that we can do a lot more, and any suggestions of like walking around. I know you guys are pounding the pavement now. I know Allison, you're exercising a lot. If you see something, let me know about it. And then if it's something, even if you have an idea, like, why don't we have a little sidewalk there? Why isn't that so crooked? Or what can we do? We have very capable people that work for us. And I think we can do a lot of improvements in-house, but I wanna use occupancy tax for that. Well, sidewalks, I mean, there's like you see a root growing up through, or
Oh,
it could be repoured or
You can't use.
It
can you use
depends on what-
occupancy
I
tax
was
for
gonna say
that?
there are a ton of.
certain, if you qualify it as
Thank you.
beautification, so it depends on who does the work.
Right, and it depends on where it is too, because some sidewalks are state.
Yeah, well, all of ours, I'm looking back streets right
Why
now.
is that sidewalk closed by the mini truck?
The gutter runs right out onto our walk and no matter how much, we don't wanna keep putting salt on it. But they fixed the gutter, but they can't get it into a dry well until the spring. They're gonna put it in a dry well.
I have seen water coming out from under the sidewalk there during rain. I don't
Yeah.
know what the heck that's all about.
All
Probably
the
block
one
drainage.
downspout, if you look, they've repaired it, but before that, it was just there. And it was just gushing right out. Probably did run under the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Sort of like the Schlachter's buildings there when they.
Oh,
walk
and
through
that
fence.
stupid
Yeah.
thing that
With
comes
the
out at
fire
knee height
hose.
or whatever.
Fire shoots out at
Yeah.
4 feet up off the ground.
Mhm.
I do, when we're talking about fireworks, if we mentioned a little, we talked about it.
The
Maybe
quiet fireworks.
if we, not all of them,
Mhm.
a couple of, you get the big one at the end, but maybe not so many bangers and I guess, do we need to do every Thursday? Can it be every other?
I don't know,
I mean,
we,
cost wise, I mean,
cost
something,
wise, it's,
something to look at and
Yeah.
whatever.
we could look at that. It's just people expect it now that we've been doing it for 30 years.
It's funny how it all started. It was supposed to be contributions from the motel owners.
Right.
And then if they got the taste of it, then it just kind of like ran off.
Yeah.
Every Thursday.
Extends the weekend. It's a,
People do show up.
but I
on
do,
the day,
I do
right?
like the idea of the quieter ones and they do show up. It brings people into town,
Yeah.
puts
Um,
bums in seats and.
And then with the,
It's a bit-
I don't know if it's, I've been told with the barges that used to go out, what they used to find out. The guys that light them off would end up just sweeping the barges off into the lake.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
I
if
did
there's
ask
anything we could sit there and make sure, hey, let's bring it in and,
bring it in and.
you know,
get rid of the
if we got.
responsibility. I don't know if that happens. I've never been on a
No,
barge when
I
it was
was-
going on.
Someone mentioned it to me
It
that
terrifies
it was
me.
out on the barges and so I don't know what's going on down at the pier. Is someone's cleaning all that,
I can ask the carnival committee. I'll ask Jessica.
you know? Like I said,
But
again.
I know
let's
someone
try to-
went down there to check it out afterwards and said they didn't really find it, so.
Right,
I know people have found like the leftover firework in like washed up on shore.
well, that's,
things like
it
that. Like,
blows
you're
up and doesn't disintegrate before it
it's
comes down.
The things that you're
Yeah.
talking about being.
The
swept
mortars,
in,
yeah.
the end.
The paper, I did ask him in the more recent conversation, and he's like, it's 99% paper.
Hmm.
Well, okay, but,
But
What's
it's the
the other
chemicals that are in the
1%?
paper.
well, yeah.
And then if possible, when we start looking at the park. Maybe like lighting it up with walkway lights, not
It's in the
not
plan.
necessarily ground lights, but maybe. Like hanging lights through the trees and,
The walkway lights are in the existing plan that we haven't seen what they're gonna look like, but we talked about it enough. And then I always wanted to do the any kind of decorative hanging lights, but the audio video towers will have an incorporation of light in it
Yeah.
as well. Cause it's dark.
String lighting is kind of against code, isn't
We don't have to follow code.
it? Just write it and apply it.
Yeah, I don't think
People we
we'd
don't
use
like.
any string lighting, but
Yeah.
but it's just some kind of like.
Rope
and
lighting.
some kind of,
lighting.
yeah.
I don't wanna see the walk lighting. The walkway lighting, cause I think that one, it's breakable and it's trippable and we don't need that.
Well, you designed it
Unless we
properly.
Put the concrete. Statues of posts
Mhm.
with the lights or something that's not attemptable, someone to try to break them.
These ones are pretty indestructible that
Yeah.
they've shown me so
Yeah.
far,
But they're
but
not,
They
they're
work.
like 3 feet high or,
no, these are embedded in the
Embedded.
walkways themselves.
oh,
or the
really?
sides
Oh,
of
okay,
the
in the walkway,
seating.
okay.
Yeah.
I forget, Price Chopper just got sold. There's a new building owner. They're
Mhm.
still
They're honoring the
Rental, yeah.
17 years of the lease.
The red box they have out there, they've brought up to me, I guess the company is going out of business.
Red boxes?
Yeah,
Not
so
surprising.
they're
That's
asking the new building owners,
They're still in business.
yeah, they wanna beautify it and they wanna get that rusted red box out of there. They're asking during the seasons, like during the summer, they have flower cart out there, during the fall, corn stalks, whatever. Out there, cause right now they have the red box obviously, which is they're selling something. If they could put something up there that's Adirondack and pretty for there, cause technically they're selling, renting DVDs there on that thing.
Yeah, it's like a soda machine permit, right?
Yeah.
I would have to say that would attribute it, send them to Dan, and get a determination from her.
Yeah, they're just looking for a flower cart out there or something to dress up their building, make it nicer.
Who'd they sell?
I mean,
Well,
it's
probably-
no different than them having an ice.
Tops?
Or a
Yeah,
ice
yeah, they're
cooler
probably-
out there,
Yeah, the
It
summer,
lights up, that was a big issue.
lighting
Because they
up.
were a sign.
Yeah.
yeah, they're just looking to do that, I don't know, 5 times.
I'm glad that they're honoring the lease because I don't know what I would do without that place.
Uh-huh.
I'm always running in there for something. I gotta get milk there on the way home.
I'd actually be really sad if it wasn't a grocery store.
Something.
Yeah, it needs.
Wait,
to
George
stay,
had two of them? Didn't they have two grocery stores and a meat market and at one point in the village or something?
Oh, they had a dentist and a
They
pharmacist.
had a
and they
dentist.
had, you know,
Yeah.
No.
one of everything.
Had a McDonald's.
No, but they had a.
Yeah,
McDonald's.
They had, it was an A&P and there was,
Was it A&P?
there was an A&P, I'm pretty sure, because Mr. Grant used to run it.
That was Grand Union.
Grand Union.
Gary Grant used to run the Grand
And I
Union.
think there was some coming in, but there used to be a meat market, next, down the road with the church there on, that extension road there. That runs along the church. There used to be a meat market in
Hendricks?
there, a butcher shop or meat market in there.
Yeah, well, the days of,
Yeah,
I mean, it's nice to dream about those days and
There used to be two hardware stores too.
there was 2 hardware stores,
I'd
There
love
were?
to have Oscars.
three car dealerships.
car dealerships and gas.
Gas
And gas stations, yeah.
Getty gas station. All right, anybody else?
I just wanted to know,
Yeah.
speaking of sidewalks, when is the state gonna fix, like, cause they had to dig in the little.
In the spring, probably.
spring, yeah, they
Those are
were,
like really, like with all
Yeah,
the
you
winter
can't pour
time and all.
concrete now, so.
well, they
Yeah,
got
but I
it
just
pretty
don't know.
safe now with the cold patch that they
Yeah.
put in there.
Yeah, but it's coming up because people are just walking so much over it. It's like a bunch of,
Little stones.
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, it's breaking down,
Replacing it with
even
paper.
salt.
They are poured stamped concrete.
That's what's gonna be.
That's what they wanna use, yeah, cause the pavers didn't work. They broke up, people drive over them. I asked to remove the bump outs, they're like, no, that's state standards. I'm like, do you have to have them stick out so far?
Yeah.
Especially when people are leading with a stroller or something,
People drive.
people drive over them,
Um,
yeah.
someone asked me about playgrounds today. Where are we with Pappy's Playground and that update?
Happy's, we are gonna have a cost analysis done. We had an initial cost, which you have to go before, the county doesn't have, and county and the village don't have the money in the coffers to do that. They want us to go before the Wood Foundation and the Wright Family Foundation,
Okay.
who built the park originally for potential funding. And they don't have any meetings until I think March or April. Because most of them travel for the winter, the board members.
Mhm.
But we have in good favor with them. Because of one of Charlie Wood's daughters is on both the Wood Foundation and the Wright Family Foundation, so they're like, they love Lake George, so we're getting our timing right to meet with them and. You can join me if you'd like to.
Sure,
Okay.
as long as it works for us.
Yeah, it'll be, well, it would be probably during a day or in
Yeah.
like an evening meeting. I think they meet in Cohoes or Clifton Park or.
Just let me know.
Yeah, I'll let you know as far in advance as I can.
Yeah, great.
I know, I'm gonna do something, but Ryan's gonna fix
The
What, oh.
it.
mural,
The mural.
I was
yeah.
looking at it too and just ruined it.
Yeah, really? Really?
I brought up, putting John on there and then it just went wild and then that's like,
It's your
stop
fault.
now, please
Your
stop.
fault.
Yeah, no, it's not my fault. I said John Earl, that's it, that's it. Then it went from there.
Yeah,
I was trying to look at I was looking at the original ones and newer ones.
well, Deb came out really good.
Deb's,
Bill down not as much, but not so
I
bad.
don't even know who those two, like, corpses are standing right next to the pillar there.
Is he
Yeah, that's-
looking like a John McCain?
Dennis and
pen?
Lou,
McCain pen?
that's Dennis and that's Lou,
Lou,
yeah.
Lou,
Lou looks like he's got a
Yeah.
club arm.
yeah, not good. Who's the guy over there in the black?
I don't know, it's an old judge, but.
I thought it was supposed
Oh.
to be Tony Hall.
No,
I
he
did.
made it
Don't
look-
die.
I thought it, wa-
Tony
Where'd the jogger come from?
I thought it
What's
was
that?
because he's sitting there taking notes.
Jogger's been there the whole time. He's always been there.
That's Larry.
Yeah,
Larry Mancini.
Larry Mancini.
Oh,
That's who I was appointed to take his place.
When he passed?
No, Larry didn't, he just left.
He moved.
He moved out of the village.
Oh, okay.
But
Who lived
Marissa
up by
was,
me?
Huh?
Who lived
Marissa-
up next door to Pepe and Carol Lee?
that was
Jim.
Jim
Ionico.
Ionico.
Ionico,
And
okay,
Marissa was appointed to take his.
take his place, okay.
I asked
He
him to fill
passed.
that- Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
asked to fill
Ray.
that position, he says he already had someone appointed.
Well, let Julie get home.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else? Good conversation tonight, guys. Thanks for entertaining me. Call
Make a
for a motion to adjourn.
adjourn.
So moved. Order.